Juki Okafo. Now on the news in detail. All Progressives Congress APC has inaugurated its National Campaign Council and subcommittees ahead of the August 15th governorship election in Osun State, charging members to work towards securing victory for the party at the polls. The inauguration held in Abuja brought together party leaders, governors, National Assembly members, ministers, and other stakeholders tasked with coordinating campaign activities across the state. Our correspondent, Idarang Flannan, reports.
APC National Chairman formally inaugurated members of the council and urged them to remain committed to the party's objective of delivering victory in the forthcoming election.
This will be the last election that we will hold before the general election. This will be our litmus test. This will be the level of preparedness that we're going to have before 2027. This, you will be our practicing ground. You will be our rehearsal of the machinery we're going to prepare for 2027.
Chairman of the National Campaign Council and Governor of Imo State, in his acceptance remark, expressed appreciation to the APC leadership for the confidence reposed on the council members.
We shall present a tested, competent, and people-centered candidate whose vision is anchored on prudent leadership, inclusive prosperity, and renewed confidence in government. Our campaign will be issue-based, evidence-led, and respectful.
Speaking at the event, the APC National Secretary highlighted the composition of the Campaign Council and its specialized subcommittees.
The story that we are saying for the teaming Osun people and also ensure that we lay a solid foundation for the future of our people.
The APC governorship candidate in Osun State thanked the party leadership and campaign council members for their support and confidence in his candidacy. He pledged loyalty to the party and reaffirmed his commitment to serving the people of Osun State.
The people of Osun State are ready. The Osun APC is ready. Our campaign is ready. Together, we will win. Together, we will rescue Osun. And together, we will build a prosperous Osun State.
With less than 3 weeks to the Osun governorship election, the APC says the inauguration of its campaign structure marks the beginning of an intensified grassroots engagement and strategic mobilization drive aimed at securing victory at the polls. From the nation's capital, Adbn, Adbn News.
Now, as Nigeria begins preparations for the 2027 general elections, stakeholders are raising concerns over the growing threat of misinformation, disinformation, and artificial intelligence-generated content to the country's democratic process. At a UNESCO workshop in Abuja, media professionals, election managers, and civil society groups examined how media and information literacy can help promote peaceful and credible elections. Our diplomatic correspondent tells us more.
As Nigeria gradually turns its attentions to the 2027 elections, the battle for credible elections may begin long before voters arrive at polling units. Well, here at the UN House in Abuja, UNESCO, election stakeholders, journalists, and fact-checkers are examining how misinformation, disinformation, and even AI-generated content could shape public perception and electoral outcomes. The Independent National Electoral Commission says building public confidence begins long before Election Day, stressing that continuous engagement with citizens and stakeholders is essential to safeguarding
our institution, again, or our goal is to ensure that every Nigerian is carried along through transparent process and integrity.
Beyond institutions, UNESCO says the responsibility also lies with journalists, digital political activists, and citizens who play a critical role in verifying information before sharing it.
We are working with UNESCO team and to ensure that we prepare our people, the political parties, the media officers, the media organizations, and all stakeholders who will be at the helm of disseminating information towards election.
Participants at the workshop shared lessons on fact-checking, digital verification, and ethical online engagement, raising concerns over the growing influence of false information and emerging technologies on public trust.
I think that should be removed, and INEC should do it directly to the people. Because even putting a middleman, how are you sure your message is being driven to the right people?
All INEC has been doing, you made mention of trust. Why has Nigerians not been able to have confidence on INEC? I want to put this question, that don't we think it's because the INEC leadership is being appointed by the president?
This particular stakeholder dialogue has been very enlightening for me. For the first time, I heard about what is called Voice or So and what they do. And I'm glad that some other stakeholders were here, like INEC and some other persons, because they get to hear from us directly.
Well, the message today is that protecting democracy now means protecting the integrity of information. From the UN House in Abuja, Ama Marcus, Adbn News.
Elsewhere, Kaduna State Governor Obasani has nominated the Executive Chairman of Kaduna State Internal Revenue Service, Jerry Adams, as his running mate for the 2027 governorship election. Sani said the decision followed wide consultations and contributions to strengthening the state's revenue system. The nomination also marks the APC's return to a Christian deputy governorship candidate after Muslim tickets in the 2019 and 2023 elections. The governor described Adams as an institution builder committed to public service, saying the choice reflects his administration's focus on inclusion, fairness, and equitable representation across Kaduna State. Moving on, National Agency for Food, Drug and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDA, enforcing the federal government's ban on protecting public health by removing illegal alcoholic beverages from circulation. Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, and the Nigeria Police Force have pledged to deepen intelligence sharing and collaboration to combat financial crimes and other security threats in the country. NFIU Chief Executive Officer Hajia Hafsat Bakari said this during a courtesy visit to the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, at the force headquarters in Abuja. She said financial intelligence is key to tracing proceeds of crimes, including terrorism, kidnapping, cybercrime, corruption, and organized crime.
Your Excellency, sir, as you are aware, Nigeria is preparing for its third round mutual evaluation scheduled for 2027. This assessment will go beyond the existence of laws and institutions. It will examine effectiveness. It will assess whether our agencies are working together, whether financial intelligence is being effectively utilized, whether money laundering and terrorist financing are being investigated in line with the country's risk profile, whether criminal assets are being identified and confiscated, and whether law enforcement agencies are achieving measurable outcomes. The evaluation will in many respects measure our collective ability to translate policy into operational results. Following your approval, a stocktake exercise was recently conducted within the Nigerian police force. We are grateful for the cooperation and openness demonstrated by officers across the force headquarters and various formations during the exercise.
The Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, describes financial intelligence as a necessity in modern law enforcement, saying following the money trail can help disrupt criminal networks and their sources of funding.
We are ever ready to continue to cooperate with you, ever ready to cooperate with the NFI. Financial intelligence is a necessity. We need to collaborate more and share intelligence. We need to collaborate and share intelligence because of the security situation we have in the country today, terrorism, banditry, and then even in cases of theft of crude, following their proceeds will assist to bring down the crime to nothing less than 50% of it. Following the money, a lot of their crimes will be solved. So we collaborate, we need to continue to see ourselves as symbiotic twins.
Disu said the force has established a proceeds of crime section to strengthen a fight against money laundering and terrorist financing, as both agencies commit to stronger cooperation to keep Nigeria off the Financial Action Task Force released. Oyo State government has taken delivery of 2 surveillance aircraft acquired to strengthen security operations and improve intelligence gathering across the state. Commissioner for Information, Dotun Oyelade, said the aircraft arrival fulfills the government's earlier promise to have them delivered before the end of July. The aircraft are expected to support security agencies, including the Amotekun Corps, in monitoring criminal activities and enhancing rapid response to security threats across Oyo State. Away from that story, Edo State government has ordered immediate repairs on a damaged section of the Benin bypass after haulage equipment belonging to Buildwell Nigeria Limited destroyed parts of the federal highway, disrupting traffic. The company has accepted responsibility and signed an undertaking to repair about 150 meters of the affected road. The state government says it will work with relevant agencies to ensure the repairs meet engineering standards and hold those responsible for damage to public infrastructure accountable.
We have had an agreement with them to restate back the road. So initially, it was no issue about that. Then our company is also aware.
We got a call and we are here with the public protection agency, also with the Edo State Ministry of Works and also with the controller Edo State. So we've also gotten the contractor that was carrying this haulage material, Buildwell. This is their rep, and we have seen what they got for their equipment and their material to go through. And we have all assessed the road, the points that is bad, which it's up to 150 meters. In no distant time, we can see it that this whole thing, in less than 1 week or so, they will come up, do the palliative.
Protection Committee says the haulage equipment involved had been impounded.
Since then, we told them that, look, we've done our own part. We are not engineers. Let the engineer come and do theirs. So until they do it to the satisfaction of the engineers and the special advisor to the government of projects, we will not release their key for them. Our own is to make sure that they do it to their satisfaction.
You can't come overnight and be digging federal road for you to be able to move. So we are here with the collaboration of the State Ministry of Works and other agencies to make sure that this company do the needful in restating the road.
The Edo State Ministry of Works says it will monitor the repairs to ensure quality, while Build Well Nigeria Limited pledged cooperation. The state government reiterated its commitment to protecting public infrastructure and holding offenders accountable. Security operatives have arrested 4 suspected cultists during an early morning raid in Adbn community, Ovia Northeast local government area of Edo State, as authorities intensified the crackdown on cult-related violence. The operation was carried out by the Edo State Special Security Squad, codenamed Operation Flush Out Kidnappers and Cultists, alongside other security agencies.
At the house this early morning, when I see they call bust our house, carry all of us, and TV share today. Okay, I'm a member of MBM of Africa. I have an update concerning initiation, but I didn't attend.
I think what brought me is I'm a member of the MBM, New Black Movement of Africa. On the 17th, I don't know what happened on the 17th. I was just lying down in my friend's house this morning when I saw the police. Everybody here can attest to that, I don't know, but for me personally, I don't have idea of these weapons that are here.
I was just at home this morning and I saw policemen came to our house. They said they want to follow them. Since I lost my wife, I have not been having time to do all those, because I only faced my work, because I was trying to get ready this morning before the police came this morning. I might get information, but since then I have not been doing this because I was just on my own, just trying.
Although the suspects denied ownership of the weapons, they reportedly admitted belonging to the Aye confraternity. The coordinator of the Special Security Squad, Noah Idemudia, described the operation as another major breakthrough in the state's campaign against cultism and violent crime.
We got an intelligence report that some members of the Black Arts Group, New Black Movement, they activities and cause mayhem around the Adbn community, which we quickly swift into actions this morning, getting to the said residence where these persons were on the hideout or where they wanted to take off from to commit these atrocities. We found that during the raid we were able to recover these ammunitions and these weapons in front of us. We have been advising from the onset, the public has shown to us that there's a big cooperation amongst, residents, because the intel came from, those that knew about their nefarious activities. And this useful information has helped us in apprehending this. And this would have saved more lives in Edo. So if you see anything, keep saying it for Edo to remain peaceful.
The suspects remain in custody and are expected to face further investigation. Authorities say the state government's determination to stamp out cultism, kidnapping and other violent crimes, while urging residents to continue supporting security agencies with timely and credible information. Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoyeno has signed 14 executive bills into law aimed at strengthening governance and improving public service delivery in the state. Signing the bills at the Executive Council Chamber, Government House, Uyo, Governor Eno said the new laws will deepen institutional, enhance transparency, and ensure the continuity of government programs. The bills, which were passed by the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, provide legal backing for key institutions and reforms under the Arise agenda. They include laws establishing the Akwa Ibom State Geographical Information Service, Senior Citizen Center, Hotels and Tourism Development Commission, Emergency Medical Services and Ambulance Systems Agency, Ibom Broadcasting Corporation, Public Procurement Regulatory Agency, Office of the Public Defender, Internal Revenue Service, and the University of Education, Afaha Nsit.
A bill for a law to make provision for the establishment of the Akwa Ibom State Geographical Information Service and for other matters connected therewith. That is the Akwa GIS. A bill for a law to establish Akwa Ibom State Senior Citizens Center to care for the welfare and needs of senior citizens in Akwa Ibom State. A bill for a law to amend the Hospitals Management Board Law 2010 to provide for the establishment of district hospitals, decentralize the Hospitals Management Board into zonal hospital management boards to enhance administrative efficiency and service delivery.
Speaker of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Udemelton, described the legislations as people-centered, saying they will strengthen governance and improve the lives of residents. He reaffirmed the Assembly's commitment to enacting laws that support the state's development.
Excellency, I want to thank you as a House for thinking well for the people of Akwa Ibom State. Most especially, let me just point out my area, the area of Hospital Management Board, the area of all these health sectors that you have redefined by making sure that we have 3 hospital management boards in the state, the one per senatorial district.
Over 400 women have benefited from a medical outreach organized by the President of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. The outreach took place at the Senate President's country home in Okana, Esenodem local government area of Akwa Ibom State. Adbn's correspondent, Precious Ukiji, reports.
No fewer than 500 women from the 10 local government areas of Ikodekmene Senatorial District gathered at the pavilion of Senate President Godswill Akpabio's country home in Okana for the medical outreach.
Today is a good day.
The program was organized to provide free medical care to vulnerable women, with 50 beneficiaries selected from each of the 10 local government areas in the district. Medical personnel at the outreach said many of the beneficiaries were treated for conditions such as hypertension and diabetes.
After giving the medications, we encourage them, we counsel them to take your medications.
Some of the beneficiaries expressed gratitude to Senator Godswill Akpabio and his wife for making the medical outreach possible.
Today he has set it aside for free medical treatment for the whole senatorial district, and we have never been given this opportunity to have drugs freely.
They want to give us he gives our meal. When they finish that meal, they gave us everything for us to take and enjoy ourselves.
I'm very happy about what God is using this our brother, our sons, and everything to us with the wives to do in Esienudi.
The wives of Esienudi and the Timekbo local government chairman Ofonime Ntiedo Soro and Uime Gideon Owa, as well as the coordinators of the Timekbo and Eka local government women's groups, described the outreach as a timely intervention.
Taking care of them, they have screened them, they have eaten, they have given them drugs. This is a very big thing because a lot of people doesn't have the money to buy drugs for themselves.
So much has happened in Okana today. The women who are sick have received free medical attention, food, and more. Okana women are praying to God to bless and protect Her Excellency.
This outreach by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio complements these efforts to ensure that vulnerable people are supported where it has to do with healthcare. Precious Ukiji, Adbn News.
You're watching Adbn News at 7. Still ahead, business, foreign, sports, and entertainment stories. Stay with us. You're welcome back. House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream is calling for new legislation to strengthen Nigeria's energy security as the country expands. Reduce dependence on imported fuel and enhance long-term energy sustainability. Adbn's Laraba Mori reports.
The committee says it is working on legislation to address the challenges surrounding fuel importation and domestic refining. It also says the reforms are aimed at ensuring energy security, stable fuel supply, and fair competition through consultations with industry stakeholders.
We are committed towards a well-defined and clear legislation in a bid to resolve all issues to ensure stability. A technical committee is drafting the legislation and amendments.
Following, NMDPRA published practical operation stock guidelines under Section 182 of the PIA, including how stock will be measured, reported, quality assured, and assessed for accessibility. Such guidelines should recognize the real benefit of it to be safely released.
Stakeholders backed domestic refining but urged the government to retain fuel importation to prevent supply disruptions. They also called for improved fuel distribution, greater market transparency, and stronger safety measures across the downstream sector.
1. Strengthen domestic refining while preserving healthy market competition. 2. Ensure direct, equitable access by marketers to locally refined petroleum products.
Local refining is absolutely necessary in the country. The government of Nigeria, however, must retain the regulatory control to decide when it should allow imports, where import serves the country's interest best.
The committee says consultations will continue before finalizing legislation expected to improve fuel supply, strengthen market competition, and provide balanced framework for domestic refining and fuel importation. Laraba Mure, Adbn News.
Executive Secretary of the National Sugar Development Council, NSDC, Kamar Bakrin, has warned that Nigeria must urgently reduce the cost of manufacturing or risk losing out on opportunities under the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. Speaking at the 17th National Council on Industry, Trade and Investment in Enugu, Bakrin said improving industrial competitiveness is critical to boosting production, exports, and job creation. Our business correspondent, Osum Raphael, has details.
According to the Executive Secretary of NSDC, Nigeria's manufacturing sector contributes only about 8% of GDP, while capacity utilization stands at 57.7%. This despite the country's 230 million population and duty-free access to 1.4 billion consumers under the AFCFTA. In his paper presentation, the Executive Secretary said Nigeria's challenge is not a lack of market demand, but the high cost of production. He noted that manufacturers spend an estimated 1.34 trillion naira annually generating their own electricity, with industrial power costing between 15 and 30 US cents per kilowatt hour, compared with 8 cents in Vietnam and 10 cents in China. He added that high lending rates and poor logistics continue to undermine Nigeria's competitiveness.
We as a country do not have a demand problem. We have a cost of production problem. Let me explain. Think about it. We have a domestic market size of 230 million people. Africa's largest consumer market is here. We have another 1.4 billion people around us with the opportunity to be supplied duty-free under AFCFTA. Nobody on this continent needs to be persuaded to buy the goods we make in Nigeria. Our problem is that we overpay to manufacture those goods. And manufacturing is only 8% of the GDP. So the thing is that the demand exists, but the costs are the barrier.
Bakrin said recent macroeconomic reforms have improved economic stability, citing foreign reserves of about $51 billion, the highest since 2009, and easing inflation as positive signals for investors. He urged government at all levels to establish dedicated power for industrial clusters, provide single-digit financing for manufacturers.
AFCFTA has removed the fence around our markets. Let's be mindful of this. From now on, it's either goods are crossing our borders or goods are coming into the country. We're either going to compete or we're going to concede the market.
The NSDC says implementing the proposed reforms will lower production costs, boost local manufacturing, expand Nigeria's exports, and create millions of jobs for the country's growing workforce. Awesome Raffle, Adbn News.
Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, plans to donate 1/3 of his wealth to charity as part of his succession plan, according to his daughter, Halima Dangote. Halima, a trustee of the Aliko Dangote Foundation, said the billionaire has secured his family's support to dedicate 33% of his estate to philanthropy as part of his long-term legacy. What estimated at $35.1 billion. 1/3 of his fortune will amount to about $11.7 billion, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Chad has announced plans to begin the process of withdrawing from the International Criminal Court, joining Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Venezuela in leaving the Hague-based tribunal. The Chadian government accused the ICC of disproportionately focusing on African countries, describing the court's effectiveness as limited and uneven. The move comes amid scrutiny over Chad's alleged role in the conflict in neighboring Sudan, while the ICC continues to face growing international criticism over its operations. A Ghanaian court has acquitted police colonel Benvenu Lama of charges linked to the 2009 stadium massacre, ordering his immediate release after nearly 4 years in custody. Lama had faced charges including murder, abduction, and abuse of authority, but prosecutors' request for a 10-year prison sentence was rejected. Lawyers representing victims say they will appeal the ruling. The 2009 crackdown in Conakry left at least 156 people dead, according to a UN inquiry, and remains one of Guinea's deadliest human rights tragedies. In sports, the League of African Ambassadors is expanding the frontiers of diplomacy by using sports and other initiatives to promote continental cooperation and development. Speaking at a briefing in Abuja, the League's president, Ambassador Nwabuike Ominyi-Eze, said the organization is creating platforms for diplomatic dialogue, knowledge sharing, youth empowerment, and stronger intra-African relations. He said the League's fundraising golf program is designed to advance sports diplomacy, build partnerships, and mobilize resources for African development.
Africa is endowed with enormous human and natural resources, a youthful population, expanding markets, and immense potential for economic and social transformation. The League believes that African diplomacy must help convert these opportunities into tangible benefits for African people.
The inaugural tournament will be held in August at the Ibom Golf and Country Club, Uyo, with plans to expand to 18 countries. Organizers say the event is expected to attract about 150 participants, including diplomats, government officials, business leaders, and development partners.
Our retired ambassadors, diplomats, government representatives, corporate leaders, and development partners and friends of Africa can come together to build relationships and support programs consistent with the League's continental mission.
Ambassador Eze also called for a review of the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, saying African countries should have greater influence in global space governance. He said the move aligns with the League's broader goal of increasing Africa's role in shaping international policies and emerging global debates.
At least give nationals a certain distance of outer space to their sovereignty, so they decide what happens to it, as it is obtained in the law of the sea, where you have a national territorial waters, you have a continental flank, and you have an exclusive economic zone. Those three things now were the purview of the country. So,
the League of African Ambassadors says the golf tournament is more than a sporting event, describing it as a platform to strengthen diplomacy, partnerships, and Africa's global voice. Observers say the initiative reflects the changing voice of diplomacy with greater focus on people-to-people connections, business collaboration, and innovative approaches to advancing African integration and development. Football's lawmaking body, the International Football Association Board, has admitted that Bril and Bolo should not have been sent off during Switzerland's World Cup quarterfinal defeat by Argentina earlier this month. Embolo received a second yellow card with a score level at 1-1 before Argentina went on to score twice in extra time to secure a 3-1 victory in Kansas City. The Switzerland forward was initially awarded a free kick after a challenge from Leandro Paredes, with referee Geo Pinheiro booking the Argentine midfielder. However, following advice from the video assistant referee, he overturned the decision, cancelled Paredes' yellow card, and instead booked Embolo for simulation, resulting in his dismissal. IFAB has now clarified that while VAR may intervene in cases of mistaken identity, it cannot be used to review whether a yellow card offence itself was correctly awarded. Former Real Madrid manager Zinedine Zidane has been confirmed as the head coach of the France national team. Didier Deschamps, France's longest-serving manager, ended his 14-year stint in charge after the nation's semi-final exit to Spain at the 2026 World Cup. Zidane, a World Cup winner with France in 1998, has been out of management since leaving Real Madrid for a second time as head coach in 2021. The 54-year-old has signed a contract that will see him lead France through the 2030 World Cup qualifiers. Zidane's first competitive fixture in charge will be a Nations League trip to Turkey on 25th September. To entertainment news now, Nigerian music stars Tems and Ira Star have been featured in the upcoming Hollywood fantasy movie Children of Blood and Bone, based on Tomi Adeyemi's best-selling novel. Tems' hit song Me and You is used in the film's first official teaser, while Ira Star makes her acting debut in the Paramount Pictures production alongside stars including Viola Davis, Idris Elba, and Cynthia Erivo. Directed by Gina Prince by the Wood, the fantasy movie draws inspiration from West African mythology and follows Zele Adebola's request to restore magic to the kingdom of Orisha. The movie is set for theatrical release on January 15th. Well, that's it on ADBN TV News this morning. Remember to watch us live on DSTV channel 258, on Star Times channel 140, Avo TV app, Limex World TV app, and Niger TV app. For more stories, visit our website at www.adbntv.com. You can also watch us live from every part of the world by logging on to www.adbntv.com/live. I am Chijioke Okafo. Thank you for watching. Good morning.
It doesn't take a pandemic or an epidemic to know that clean hands save lives. Hand washing is essential anytime, anywhere to protect your health. So keep washing your hands, not just when they're dirty, but even on the go. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep your hands clean.
Every second, a story breaks.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has formally presented the 2026 appropriation bill to the National Assembly.
The nation reacts. The world shifts. History moves in real time. Before the noise, before the opinions. One screen keeps you connected. From the headlines shaking the nation to the stories everyone talks about tomorrow. Stream anytime, anywhere. When the story matters, you know where to turn. Adbn. A part of you.
Every day, decisions are made, policies are announced, challenges emerge, and lives are changed. But beyond the headlines, beyond the politics, beyond the noise, are the conversations that matter. On Softline, Nigeria's leading voices unpack the issues shaping our future, from governance to business, education, healthcare, technology, security, and the economy. Real conversations, expert insights, solutions that move the nation forward. Because understanding today's decisions shapes tomorrow's opportunities. Now airing 4 p.m. every weekday and Saturdays. Softline, where informed decisions begin.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on Adbn TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
Global business is never static. Watch the market report on Adbn TV for business information, latest happening business deals, economic policies, stock, crude oil and commodity trading, financial upstick and downstick, and the world of organized private sector. The market report showing on Adbn TV 1 to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday. The market report bringing you up to speed in the business world.
Every day, across forests, highways, towns and villages, brave men and women stand watch so that Nigeria can sleep. They leave their families behind, confront danger head-on, and make sacrifices many of us will never see. Yet, the enemies of our nation continue their assault. They target our children. They murder innocent citizens. They force families from their homes. They turn thriving communities into places of fear and uncertainty. Their goal is simple: to break our spirit, divide our people, and steal the future of our nation. But Nigeria is stronger than terror. As we demand greater accountability, stronger security measures, and more effective action from those entrusted with our safety, we must also play our part. Support our security forces. Salute their gallantry. Stand with those who stand for us. Something, say something. Let us be our brother's keeper. We must never surrender to fear, despair, or business. This is not the time for division, not by tribe, not by religion, not by region, not by political party. Because terror recognizes no ethnicity, no faith, and no ideology. Its enemy is all of us. And together, united as one people, we can defeat it. For our children, for our communities, for our future, for Nigeria. Join the movement. Stand for our country. Stand for one another. Unite against terror.
Did you know vote buying and vote selling is a criminal offense? Under Nigerian law, the punishments for vote buying and selling includes a fine of 5 million naira, a 2-year jail term, or both. Through strict legislative updates to the repealed Electoral Act 2022 ahead of the upcoming general elections, the National Assembly significantly stiffened these penalties. Under the current legal framework, Section 22 of the new Electoral Act 2026, the fine was escalated from previous limits, which capped punishment at 500,000 naira and 12 months in prison, to not less than 5 million naira and a jail term of not less than 2 years. Additionally, convicted offenders face a mandatory 10-year ban from contesting any election in Nigeria. The stiffened penalties apply explicitly to anyone who unlawfully possesses a voter's card, sells or attempts to sell a voter's card, buys or offers to buy a vote, or sells and offers to sell a vote. All voters are advised against selling their votes. If votes don't count, who will try to buy them? Stay updated on our latest series of voter education on the Adbn Enlightenment Campaign.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome and thanks for choosing to start your day on Adbn Television's flagship program, Morning Express. My name is Beat O'Brien. It's another day to review topical issues in the news and put into perspective Nigeria's challenges as we aspire to have a more united nation. This morning, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, reacting to the killing of over 30 persons in Kaduna State, has labeled the massacre as an attack and barbaric attempts to suppress Nigerians. This is another fresh attack on a Benue community, has also left 16 persons dead. More demands and advocacies for improved security greet some of Nigeria's newspaper headlines this morning, whilst others turn their attentions to areas of public finance management in the demands for transparency and accountability as Nigeria's borrowing threshold crosses 12.6 trillion naira. This and many more make headlines this morning, and I'll be taking you through all of them in a bit. A quick reminder that all the headlines as read on the program this morning are read to according to the editorial guidelines of each newspaper house and are not in any way a position of Adbn Television as it concerns the issues in the news. So in your reactions, do all to do your due diligence, fact check before you comment across any of our social media platforms. That being said, we'll begin with This Day newspaper, where you'd find the lead headline story as it reads. Tinubu, Kaduna killings, unprovoked act of terror against defenseless. Tinubu, Kaduna killings, unprovoked act of terror against defenseless. Orders security agencies to hunt killers, rescue abducted victims, mourns victims, condoles with impacted families. Now, away from that, you'd find the picture of prominence, that on the front page, where the NBA president is in a handshake with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu following her visit to the State House. Above that, let's take a look at the masthead for adjourning stories on this day. Above the masthead, you'd find Appeal Court voids judgment directing INEC to deregister ADC, APP, AA, others. Appeal Court voids judgment directing INEC to deregister ADC, APP, AA, others. Those are the headline stories on the front page of This Day newspaper. Away from This Day, let's move on to the Disclosure News newspaper. On the Disclosure News newspaper, you'd find quite a similar headline story to that as seen on This Day. Tinubu to security agencies, hunts down perpetrators of Kaduna killings, approves pay raise for military, several dead in renewed attack on Benue State. Attackers must pay for their crimes against our people, says Governor Alia. On the rider, 2027, a fight to finish. Tinubu tells Atiku, Obi, others. 2027, it is fight to finish. Tinubu tells Atiku, Obi, others. Opposition mounts against APC's Muslim ticket. Governor Sani makes U-turn, picks Jerry Adams as running mate. NAS to push constitutional amendments for fixed consensus at interval, says Senator Ume. Suspected kidnappers kill senior army officer, injure wife in Abuja attack. 2027, respite for Atiku Adeleke as appeal court squashes the registration order on ADC, Accord Party, others. Now, beneath the rider on Disclosure newspaper, we have a few more headlines. Nel Fund, BUK, Northwest students, parents appeal for prompt payment of upkeep allowances. Oshun Guba, remain impartial, allow people choose their leaders. Oni charges INEC. Ensure passage of state police bill aligns with constitution. Organization urges NAS. And moving on to our next newspaper on the lineup this morning, you'd find more sad reports headlined on the Daily Sun newspaper about renewed terror attacks in Kaduna and Benue states. The lead headline on this day on the Daily Sun newspaper reads, Tinubu talks tough on Kaduna killings, orders manhunt of perpetrators. Benue mourns as gunmen kill 15 at Uboju community. The picture of prominence shows the moment the NBA president-elect visited the State House alongside accompanying entourage. On the rider, Wike welcomes Fubara back to Rainbow Coalition, says governor has corrected mistakes, vows to work for Tinubu's re-election. Outrage as mob rapes, tortures 34-year-old mother of 6 in Enugu. 2027, 72 hours after Sunday Sun report, Ubasani succumbs to pressure, picks Christian running mate. NLNG ICE trains 8 to 10, generates $150 billion, moves to expand LNG capacity. Now, besides the masthead, you'd find two more headlines on the Daily Sun. Oyo receives 2 surveillance aircraft to boost security. Aircraft to become operational immediately through Air Force partnership. Atiku celebrates as appeal court voids order deregistering ADC for other parties. Judgment has vindicated us, says party. Not away from the Daily Sun newspaper, you'd find as headline on The Nation, efforts between South Africa and the federal government for compensation and justice to victims of xenophobia in South Africa. The lead headline on The Nation reads, Xenophobia. Federal government demands justice from South Africa. Xenophobia. Federal government demands justice from South Africa. Meanwhile, on the rider, INEC neutral, fair to all parties, says Tinubu. E-payment penetration drops cash outside bank to 4.92 trillion naira. I'll take that again. E-payment penetration drops cash outside banks to 4.92 trillion naira. 3 killed as Building 6 in Ajuwon community near Lagos is the rider in red. Now above the masthead, ADC hails appeal court verdict voiding order to deregister parties. 18 killed in Benue. Ede Monarch rallies support for governor. Oyebamiji will defeat Adeleke. Yilwata Uzodinma declare. Those are the headline stories on The Nation. Moving on away from The Nation newspaper, The Punch is up next. And headline on The Punch are concerns over Nigeria's borrowing as domestic debt reaches 12.62 trillion naira, following deficits in the 2026 budget. The lead headline on The Punch reads, FG overshoots borrowing limit as new debt reaches 12.62 trillion naira. Government misses revenue target by 4.9 trillion naira despite non-oil earnings. Budget deficit balloons by 47% above projection. Fresh loans bankrolled 36% of 2024 spending budget, says the Budget Office. Beneath that, on the rider, Tinubu orders security chiefs to fish out Kaduna killers. US-Iran war, Nigeria tops Africa in petrol price surge. Governors must control commissioners of police. Southern Middle Belt leaders insist. Collapsed building, 3 dead, 12 rescued as Ogun begin probe. Makinde unveils 2 new surveillance aircraft to combat insecurity. You'd find the pictures speaking to that regard as the picture of prominence at the moment where the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, was at the Ladoke Akintola International Airport, Ibadan, on Tuesday to inspect the newly procured aircraft. Besides the masthead on The Punch, 2027, Tinubu challenges rivals, vows to fight to finish. Appeal court restores ADC, Atiku, Mark, Adeleke celebrate. Police silent as reps ultimatum on fake agency DG expires today. EFCC faces credibility questions. In keeping with more newspapers on the lineup, our next newspaper also looks at Nigeria's net liabilities amidst foreign interests, as the Daily Independent has this as its lead story. Nigeria's net liabilities hit $90.2 billion amid foreign capital boom. Above the masthead, headsmen kill 16 persons in fresh Benue community attack. Atiku orders manhunt after 30 killed in Kaduna. Beg your pardon. Tinubu orders manhunt after 30 killed in Kaduna community. Says economy has been delivered from bankruptcy. Still on the front page of the Daily Independent, let's go beneath the picture of prominence to see more headline stories. On the rider on the Daily Independent, Atiku Udeze lawyers hail appeal court ruling halting the registration of ADC others. I'll take that again. Atiku Udeze lawyers hail appeal court's ruling halting the registration of ADC others. Still on the front page of the Daily Independent, Kaduna governor names Adams as running mate in Muslim ticket. FG targets affordable housing expansion with new finance authority. That uncovers illegal production of banned sachet small bottle alcohol. NLNG targets 35 production surge to fortify domestic energy security. And on the rider, Femi Falana blasts labor unions over wage increase focus. Those are the headline stories on the Daily Independent. Now, more on what many are calling a landmark judgment following the appeal court's decision to stay order under the registration suit as filed against ADC, AA, and the Zenith Labour Party, amongst others, have also dubbed Justice Peter Lifu of the Federal High Court for judicial insubordination. This is headlined on our next newspaper, starting with the Blueprint. On the Blueprint this morning, the lead headline reads, 2027, Court of Appeal reverses order deregistering ADC for others. Lower court's action, judicial impertinence, says panel. Verdict, victory for democracy, rule of law, says Atiku, David Mark. Above that, you'd find APC National Chair Yilwada emerges Blueprint's 2025 Person of the Year. Beneath that, other stories gracing the front page of the Blueprint newspaper this morning. On the rider of the Blueprint, you'd find more headline stories starting with Osun Guba victory will be our rehearsal for 2027 general elections, says the APC National Chairman, Yilwada. The picture of prominence shows President Bola Ahmed Tinubu alongside members of the Nigerian Bar Association and the NBA President-elect, Mrs. Oyinkansola Badejo Okunsonya, at the President's Villa on Tuesday. Over 650 buildings collapsed, 1,600 deaths recorded since 1974, says the federal government, assures stronger housing sector regulation. Interpol recovers vehicles stolen from Nigeria in Burkina Faso. Ubasani picks Jerry Adams as running mate ahead of 2027. Insecurity, Oyo has taken delivery of 2 surveillance aircraft, says Commissioner. Why corporate Nigeria must invest in education across full value chain, Seplat advocates. Away from the Blueprint newspaper, let's move on to the Vanguard newspaper, where you'd find a similar headline story following the deregistration suit. The lead story reads, the registration of ADC others was judicial rascality, says appeal court. The registration of ADC others was judicial rascality, says the appeal court, slams Justice Lifu's actions. Verdict corrected grave miscarriage of justice, says ADC. 2027 polls must be won on ballot, not in court, Atiku advocates. Plot to stop Adeleke thwarted, says the governor's camp. Above the masthead, Nigeria risks losing Africa's tech investment edge, LCCI warns. Ban sachet alcohol. NAFDAC uncovers hidden factories, fresh production. Nigeria at war. Tinubu has no strategy to end it, says Olawekbo Hashim. Nigeria loses 47% of dollar millionaires, retains 4th position in Africa. The picture of prominence has the caption, Oyo State surveillance aircraft arrives, showing a picture of Governor Seyi Makinde inspecting. Gunmen kill Army in Abuja. Shoot wife. Mob kills Unijos graduate over alleged phone theft. Fresh Benue attack leaves 16 dead, many injured. Commercio celebrates 10 years launch with Women Impact Fund. Oyo receives 2 surveillance aircrafts to boost security. Nigeria demands justice compensation after xenophobic attacks, says the federal government. Tinubu orders manhunt for Kaduna killers is the concluding rider on the Vanguard. We have our penultimate newspaper on the lineup this morning, which also mirrors the deregistration suits, as the Daily Trust concludes the lineup. On the Daily Trust this morning, you'd find leading the headlines, relief for ADC as appeal court slams judge. There's also a quote inserted as the annotation. It reads, "What the learned trial court did amounts to judicial impertinence, or what the Supreme Court called judicial insubordination." End quote. Colonel killed while resisting kidnappers in Abuja. Ex-LG chair returns to tailoring after losing seat. Nigeria is at war. Tinubu has no strategy to end it, says Benga Hashim. And on the rider, Dangote to donate 15.9 trillion naira to charity. Fubara, Wike makes U-turn. 15 killed in fresh attack on Benue communities. 3 dead in Ogun building collapse. How Unijust students was lynched over alleged phone theft. And the recurring picture of prominence, like it's seen on previous newspapers, shows the moment the Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, inspected the 2 newly procured surveillance aircrafts. Now, in view of as many headline stories greeting the various front pages that we can get on the program this morning, feel free to visit our websites on www.adbntv.com for more in-depth review. Also be reminded that we're streaming live on our YouTube channel at adbn.ng. I will take a short break, and when we return, we'll be back with more on our newspaper review. Stay with us. Join us as we look to review the headline stories as prominently displayed on the front pages. Let's just see if we can attempt to establish connections with our guest who joins us to review it, Dr. Aliu Elias. Hello, good morning, Dr. Aliu. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. Last I saw you was also on screen like this whilst you were at the House of Representatives probe panel on the PIFPC. How's that going before we get into our discussions at the moment?
Right. I think it's a process that all Nigerians must be interested in, just to understand processes and understand gaps that we have in our governance system and to forestall such occurrence in future. I think it's a serious apology that happens on the account of even what the Attorney General was actually are saying and what other agencies are saying. That means there's seriously a gap. Perhaps we could have more of such persons, such occurrence that we need to deep more into our system.
Well, that being said, let's now turn our attentions to some of the news stories prominently greeting the front pages this morning, and starting with reports of a condemnation on a recent attack in the Naridon village in Kuru, local government area of Kaduna State, where we hear over 30 persons, including women and children, were killed. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called those attacks unprovoked, barbaric, and cowardly. What do you make of this onslaught against terrorism with recurrent deaths of innocent Nigerians?
I quite agree with all the language the president tried to use to condemn it. It's condemnable. We are thinking we have seen the worst, and the thing is rearing its ugly head going forward. However, we want to stop. We encourage the president to stop the lamentation, the condemnation, to swing into an action, because action is what will actually stop what we are seeing. That means we need to be proactive. We need to go beyond rhetorics. We need to do our intelligent. We need to actually do more in that area so that we can forestall and stop such menace, because it's the way it is now. I can tell you, you cannot, before we used to say, it happens only in the north. But now we've seen it in south. We've seen Ondo killings, we've seen Orire, Saga, that simply means that nowhere is secure to an extent. So we need to do more. So we want the president to go to do all the possible collaboration. We must also commend the president for increasing the army command from 8 to 12. We must also commend him that he's willing to actually employ more. We must also commend him because he also want to pay a pay rise for the military. But we must do more, especially in our findings. The intelligence is very, very key now. So these are the areas we must look at critically. If not, this is getting out of hand. In fact, Nigeria is now like a war zone that you don't know where attacks will come next.
Now, one thing to take from your position on this matter is the demand for justice. It's coming at a time when even the National Assembly has queried the de-radicalization plan under Operation Safe Corridor. Most often than not, when this happened in Yelwata community in Benue State, the president gave a similar order for a manhunt for the perpetrators, but we're yet to see the actual perpetrators brought to book. How confident are you in our justice system to provide justice that would be seen to be done? Because when lives are lost, we can't quantify it in terms of donations made. Livelihoods are lost as well. It's almost impossible to serve justice in these cases. So in your view, what amounts to justice being done in regards to these killings of innocent Nigerians?
For me, I think a killer should be killed. Whoever takes life from people, whoever contributed to taking life of people should face the wrath of the law. Because the more you condone them, the more you rehabilitate, the more you have much more intelligence for those other people. Remember, we've seen it a lot from different fora, whereby people said they want to repent, and at the end of the day, they still find their way doing those business. Perhaps because it's profitable for them or they get a lot from it. But government must stand and see the condemned. I watched the Lindume and the guy that actually accused him, and I listened to him clearly where he said he would never condone paying ransom, and he has never done so. And I think that should be where all Nigerians should go, because the more you pay ransom to these people, the more they get more strong. The more you pay ransom, you buy bike for them, the more they get strong. So I think we should do more in terms of making sure that these people doesn't get a life. Because a life is like money you are giving to them. You give them a machine, you are strengthening them more. So, and you also rehabilitate people that have participated in such heinous crime. That simply means you are putting more, they should face the wrath of the law.
You've also mentioned the commendation for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for expanding the Army Division from 8 to 12 while ordering the recruitment of over 28,000 personnel. However, it's supposed to be rolled out in phases, with the earliest phase to kick off in September and the full operationality of these expanded divisions of the Army expected by December 2026. Nonetheless, it's also with the structuring of the expansion. Some of the states that are getting the least divisions are the most severely hit by the onslaught of terrorism. States like Benue, Kogi are expecting 5 new divisions, as against 28 divisions in Bini and 10 divisions in Jalingo. What do you make of the desegregation of the expanded divisions of the Army in response to the ongoing fight against banditry and terrorism?
I think I have not benefit from it. So what I'm thinking they want to do, from my own knowledge, is that, if you have more division in Kwara, that means what the Kwara or Niger division is taking care of will now be, shifted so that they can actually have a better spread, right? Because I know that for their battalion, they have size and they have numbers. So I'm sure that's what they are going to actually work. So that they have in one place does not said the other one will be much more overwhelmed. I think they are going to find a way to rearrange to actually better the security front very well. So I think it's a plus, though we hope that they should do more, because there is no effort that is enough until we tame this enemy of our country.
Now, let's also talk specifically about some of the, would I call it, successes of operations and theaters of war across different corridors in Nigeria. Because as much as we hear there's pockets of attacks on communities, the armed forces, in collaboration with the police, have also been able to track down and hunt down perpetrators. Most recently, there was also a voluntary, would I call it, submission by one of the terror financiers who came out from his hideout with his sons and also surrendered to the Nigerian army. In bits of this surrender, as against the order to hunt down perpetrators, how does the army factualize its onslaught without leniency in keeping with the rules of engagement?
Amounts to empowering people that are not supposed to be empowered. If a man comes out and surrenders his tools that he used to perpetrate evil, I think it should also be used to actually get more information. That's a very good one. So if someone surrender, the best thing for you to use to work on that person to actually make sure you get more people. That's what we should do before we now say we want to rehabilitate, radicalize, and what have you. So I think we should use such persons to actually get more information. Then you recall that most cases of intelligence may not be responsibility of Nigeria, and these are what we should also know. Everybody have their own responsibility. I think the DSS can actually do more in finding out more information from people, in trying to get more information. The police can also do more. So I think all the forces should take their role and do it appropriately, because the army is much more of forces. When you want to do non-kinetic, when you want to do the kinetic or what have you, when you want to really attack the issues, that's when you need military. But you can see that they are everywhere now. So we should allow the military to do their own, the police to do their own, the civil defense and they should do their, but they must harmonize and have a central place to actually come together. I think that's the appropriate thing to do.
Now, coming away from Kaduna, even more disturbing is the recurrent killing in Benue State. In Benue State, particularly in Otukpo local government, there has been another fresh attack that has now left reportedly 16 people dead. The Benue State governor is vowing that justice must be served this time around in Benue. What's your take on the recurring incidences in Benue? And is it beyond the intelligence which you have quite brilliantly recommended and joint patrols to stop?
Right. I think the casualty or the problems in have come over a long time. So we need to have to understand different dimension of the problem. One, it could be from the issue of farmer headers attack. I know we are dragging with that. We could be terrorism, but no matter what, whoever life should be treated as a killer. We shouldn't give it any definition or any way of handling it. Such persons should be attacked and they should be controlled so that those things will not happen again. For me, if you ask me, I think the governor have cried a lot, and that's why we're happy that we are hoping that the state police will come, whereby the locality will be manned as expected. But for Benue, I think it's a big issue. You recall some people have even said, let people also take harm to secure themselves. So it's a serious issue and it's pathetic. And, if you look at Kaduna, Benue, it is actually more reoccurring compared to Kogi, though no killing can be undermined. But I think we should fortify more. The Nigerian Army, there is a need for more command in Benue. I think we should do more.
Now, one is the fact that we've also had policy statements to address this, but implementation is also lingering, particularly with the case of suspected headsmen causing mayhem in communities. There's been amendments to the open grazing law, ranching being, promoted as one of the ways to resolve it. There was the coming on board of the Ministry of Livestock as well. What do you make of these interventions, and do you think they've been effective so far in curbing cases of suspected header-farmer clashes?
Well, if you ask me, I think it's not, the implementation is poor, because we look at the FCT as at yesterday, we still see within the city where you see farmers roaming herders are roaming the streets. So if it happens in the FCT, I wonder what could be happening in other countryside. So I think we need to do more, because I tried to do my findings and discover that even the government have been careful of the way they need to handle